Well, today is August 13th, the day that we have heard so much about, that being the day that here on YouTube, the age verification AI system is going to be rolling out. Although, as discussed a few days ago, it seems like we were already having preemptive issues here on the platform that very may well have been connected to this AI rolling out. Maybe YouTube updated some stuff behind the scenes that was causing issues. I'm not 100% sure, but there was some very strange occurrences, including, as discussed, a creator getting hit by the age verification AI days ago. So that was all quite odd indeed. But we're here to talk about Steam and Valve because there's also an update to all that stuff today too. As you can see here, for example, on a subreddit, PC Master Race. The post saying Valve confirms Steam purchases with PayPal now limited to just 6 currencies and uncertain of when it will be fixed. Now, this is especially interesting when you take in all the context that's been going on lately. For example, Mastercard was one of the payment processors that was getting a lot of backlash recently, given the whole collective shout situation and all that. And of course, a lot of very based people were calling up these payment processors and, let's just say, annoying the heck out of them on their phone lines, right? You know the deal. And so a few days later, Mastercard then makes this damage control statement on Twitter. They get a ton of backlash for that. They get community noted, etc., etc. And Valve even issues a formal response. In a statement provided to PC Gamer, Valve said that it tried to work things out with Mastercard directly prior to removing the games and suggested that Mastercard did have at least an indirect influence on the outcome, saying specifically, Mastercard did not communicate with Valve directly despite our request to do so. A Valve representative said, Mastercard communicated with payment processors and their acquiring banks. Keep that in mind, acquiring banks relates to today's news. Payment processors communicated this with Valve, and we replied by outlining Steam's policy since 2018 of attempting to distribute games that are legal for distribution. Payment processors rejected this and specifically cited Mastercard's Rule 5.12.7 and risk to the Mastercard brand. Keep that in mind too, actually, acquiring banks and Mastercard brand. As that takes us back to whitehouse.gov. Yes, this official government statement. I'm talking about the executive order that was recently signed. In Section 4, we'll read some of this. They talk about removing reputation risk and politicized or unlawful debanking. Within 180 days of the date of this order, each appropriate federal banking regulator shall, to the greatest extent permitted by law, remove the use of reputation risk or equivalent concepts that could result in politicized or unlawful debanking. And that takes us to today's news. On August 13th, right here, this article from PC Guide titled Valve Confirms Steam Purchases with PayPal Now Limited to Just 6 Currencies, Uncertain of When It Will Be Fixed. Many regions will notice PayPal no longer works on Steam. We're going to scroll right down to Valve's official statement here. And remember when I said keep in mind the acquiring bank thing from earlier? Well, you can see that playing out right here too in the official statement. It reads, in early July 2025, PayPal notified Valve that their acquiring bank for payment transactions in certain currencies was immediately terminating the processing of any transactions related to Steam. This affects Steam purchases using PayPal in currencies other than Euro, Canadian dollar, Great Britain pound, Japanese yen, Australian dollar, and US dollar. We hope to offer PayPal as an option for these currencies in the future, but the timeline is uncertain. We are also evaluating adding additional payment methods on Steam for the customers affected by this. In the meantime, please use one of our other current payment methods during checkout. If you can't use any of the available options, you can consider using a Steam wallet code to add funds to your account. So PayPal is telling Valve that their acquiring bank is the one that's really stopping these transactions from happening in certain currencies. So this is all very suspicious, isn't it? We've got these payment processors, including PayPal, and above them, the acquiring banks that they continue to talk about, and recently PayPal putting blame on the acquiring bank for not facilitating these transactions anymore on Steam. But according to Valve, it sounded like Mastercard was communicating with other payment processors and their acquiring banks in the context that seems like they were very happy to all take action against Steam to remove certain adult games, in particular ones that people that certain feminists in Australia, I'm talking about Collective Shout, were complaining about, right? So it makes you wonder, is this just all the fault of the acquiring banks at the top of the chain? Or is it the payment processors and the acquiring banks who are all doing this stuff together? We don't know like the exact details, but it's all extremely suspicious, and I don't think it looks good for the payment processors or the acquiring banks, whoever those specific banks are. The only distinction that I can really make based off the publicly available information is that Mastercard still looks worse than PayPal. Like, we don't have Valve making a statement about PayPal, like going to these acquiring banks and trying to get them to take action against Steam. Instead, it's apparently all the acquiring banks' fault for what's going on with PayPal and Steam right now, according to them, unless we get conflicting information. For all I know, hypothetically, Valve comes out with a statement later today or tomorrow and it's like, no, we can actually see that PayPal went to the acquiring bank, but so far that hasn't happened. But that essentially has happened with Mastercard, where, as we went over, Mastercard was trying to deny this stuff and Valve was like, nah, you guys ain't getting out of this. We know that, sure, while you guys didn't like directly come to us, you did go to them, the them being the acquiring banks, and, you know, then helped enact this censorship on our platform. So yeah, let me know what you think about that stuff as we try to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And now we'll take a look at the rest of this article here from PC Gamer. Wait, that's actually the wrong article. We're not going to do that. I take that back. This is the one I'm talking about from PC Guide, because we read the statement here from Steam at the end, but I skipped the rest of this article, which is only 2 paragraphs. Let's see what it says here, shall we? Steam users have recently started to notice that PayPal is no longer available as a payment option in their region. Reports caused confusion, as some users were blocked from PayPal, while others were unscathed. Now, Valve has confirmed which currencies are accepted through the popular payment processor: Euro, Canadian dollar, Great British Pound, Japanese Yen, Australian dollar, and US dollar. A lot has been happening lately with payment processors on Steam and the broader PC gaming market. This kicked off when many adult games were removed from Steam due to clashing with payment processors' rules and guidelines. Valve responded to the controversy and reimbursed the affected devs with app credits for Steamworks. Those games remain unplayable via Steam. This person on Twitter responds to the news and is like, Grok, explain this in a way that expresses the severity of the matter and how it affects Steam and gamers worldwide. Okay, this PayPal change is a massive blow. It halts Steam purchases via PayPal in all currencies except those that I really don't want to read again. I've read it twice already. We're not going to make it 3. Affecting billions in regions like Latin America, Eastern Europe, Asia, and Africa. Gamers face barriers to buying games, with fewer options leading to potential lost access or higher fees via alternatives like cards or wallet codes. For Steam, it risks revenue drops and user exodus unless new methods are added swiftly. Valve's working on fixes, but timelines are unclear. The plot seems to thicken. We take a look at this Reddit comment responding to the news back over on our Steam, and it reads, out of pure curiosity, I called PayPal's Polish hotline about this, PLN currency. Just like people do with Steam itch.io games, short version, the lady insisted I contact Steam because they were the ones who pulled the plug, because Steam prefers customers to use their balance, lol. When I read the information in my Steam shopping cart, she got irritated and said she'd provided all the information and then hung up mid-sentence. That's super fantastic customer service right there, folks. But that wasn't the end. A few hours later, the account was blocked due to suspicion of underage status. What? Holy smokes, that sucks. Honestly, I'm vindictive enough that I'm going someone on the horn and I'm going to try to get that person suspended. What? I'm vindictive enough that I'm going someone on the horn. Maybe it's a typo for like, I'm going to get someone on the phone. Like, that's such a freaking giant typo though. I have no idea. I'm going to try to get that person suspended. I get that customer service sucks and the customer is oftentimes a jerk, but this seems to be something that is definitely going out of their way to screw you over. I don't personally have a PayPal account, but I'd be disappointed in something like this. Yeah, I filed a formal complaint about the quality of customer service as soon as I received the email about the account being blocked. It's obvious to me that's related, but at least I didn't submit a false report. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in those like mere 4 comments. Person calls PayPal's Polish hotline, gets told that it's Steam's fault, which does not seem to be true. Person refutes that claim, and then suddenly, a few hours later, their account is blocked on suspicion of underage status. A different person responds talking about how they would get someone on the horn, which I think means phone, but I'm really not sure. And the other person who did have that issue says that they filed a formal complaint about the quality of customer service as soon as they received the email about the account being blocked. Okay, I think I got it. So wrapping this up though, let me know what you think about this recent action from PayPal against Steam, which they're claiming is really the acquiring bank's fault. Similar to what we saw in the past, although with Mastercard, based off its Valve statement, we do seem to know that Mastercard also has some level of involvement, and it's really not just the acquiring banks in that situation. So what do you think about all of this? Who do you think is really at fault? Do you think this is like a joint action by some of these payment processors and acquiring banks to go after platforms like Steam, or what? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, look forward to seeing you there. Have a great day. And if you enjoyed my coverage, please consider liking and or subscribing. Appreciate you. See you in the comments and in the next one.